Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and you're very welcome to this video all about cosmos. And as you can see, I've grown a lot of them this year, 6 different varieties that are all doing really well. Arguably the most reliable and beautiful of annuals, cosmos is a stalwart of many gardens. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to pinch out cosmos so that you get stronger, bushier plants that produce more flowers. I'm also going to show you a little trick for propagating those stems once you pinch them out so that you can have double plants. And also we're going to be potting on. So stay tuned and I'll tell you more. I just love cosmos. It's perhaps my favourite annual, and once you see those mostly single flowers open up with their enormous blooms, I think you also will become a fan if you don't know them already. So for anyone who's new to the channel, you should know that I garden in Southern Ireland in what roughly equates to as hardiness zone 9. So that's not a system we use here in Ireland, just take it as a rough guide. And cosmos we grow as annual plants which flower beautifully in the garden all summer and then disappear with the frosts. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've gone for 6 varieties this year. And the first is white. So this is Psych White, one I've grown for several years. It's kind of like a semi-double white cosmos, and with the light airy foliage you would expect normally from cosmos, a really good doer. I've also gone for Candy Stripe, which I have grown again for several years. It has a white flower with a pink stripe all around the petals. And now I'm trialling some new ones, so I've gone for 2 reds. I want to see red flowers in my garden, red large single flowers, and I've chosen Douentza, which has a very dark red flower. Can't wait to see how this bad boy turns out. And Gazebo Red, which is a lighter shade, but certainly from growing them so far, it seems to be a very sturdy plant, and I have lots of them. And the final 2 varieties that I'm trialing this year are seeds that I picked up in Sweden, where I was last summer. Now in Sweden I was really impressed with how well they grow cosmos there. So strong, so sturdy, and I think everywhere I went where I saw cosmos, the plants had been pinched out at least once, I think possibly 2 or even 3 times, to get really fat plants that produced masses of flowers. And it certainly got me to thinking that maybe I should be doing a bit more pinching out with my plants back home. But anyway, I digress. The 2 varieties of seed that I got in Sweden were Xenia, which is a colour that is quite hard to describe. So it is basically a pink, as many cosmos are, and it's a single, but it is diffused with an orange shimmer that kind of lays over the top of the pink, and it looks really fantastic in the photos I've seen so far. So that one's very precious and one I can't wait to see outdoors in my garden this summer. And then the final one is Double Click Cranberry. Now, as you might imagine from the description, this is a deep carmine in colour, but it's also a double flowered cosmos. So the Psych White that I've grown before is kind of semi-double, but this is supposedly a fully double cosmos, and it's quite unusual, I guess. So I just wanted to try a few unusual ones and couldn't resist this one. So all of the cosmos that you see behind me were started on the 15th of February this year. They were started indoors on heat in a seed tray with individual cells. I put 2 to 3 seeds in each cell. Germination only took 2 to 3 days, in the most stubborn cases 3 days, and soon I had little plants that were growing up. In the cells where more than 1 seedling germinated, I removed the excess ones and put them in cells of their own, and then just grew them on for a bit, indoors always, making sure to keep them sufficiently hydrated. And I do have grow lights in the house to make sure that they have enough light. when the seedlings were big enough to be potted on, then they were potted on into pots like this, which we'll go through in a few minutes. And once they were potted on, they came out to the greenhouse because, my goodness, you can't have masses of plants this size indoors. We just don't have the space for it. Plus the weather was beginning to warm up by then. They stayed in the greenhouse, and I have just recently started hardening them off, as you can see by the fact that they're laid out on the grass. So the crates come out onto the grass during the day and go back into the greenhouse at night. When the seedlings are young, just a little trick. Every time you pass them, even when they're tiny, do this, and it just emulates the wind outside and helps them grow strong and helps them to just stand that little bit upright. So today it's 48 days since the seeds were originally planted, and it's time to pinch out. Okay, so I'm going to pinch out these seedlings today, and the reason why we do this is so that the plants will grow stronger. They'll be able to support themselves without staking, and they will branch and make more flowers, and we all want that. We want more flowers. So the mechanics are to look closely at your plant. In the case of this plant, you can see that it's grown quite tall. But we do have some of the original embryonic leaves down here. You should have two, but something has happened to the one on the other side in this case. And you need to count up from there. So if we go up the plant, you can see you've got two healthy leaves coming out here. And then if you go up further, there's another two, and then so on and so on. Now, when you pinch out, you have a choice. You can either cut back to the first set of true leaves after the embryonic ones and pinch here, or if you're a bit more hesitant and fear that something might happen to these lower leaves, then you can pinch out up here above the second set of true leaves. I'm going to pinch out quite low down right here, and I'm using this little snips, and let's just turn around so you can see. So just basically go in here and snip, and that's all there is to it. Let's just see the same thing again with these plants over here. These ones haven't yet been potted on, as you can see, but we'll be doing that soon. So in this case, it hasn't been damaged. You have the original embryonic leaves, you've the first set of true leaves, and so on. And in this case, I'm just going to snip here, remove it. Next plant, embryonic leaves, true leaves, snip. In this case, the embryonic leaves have completely wilted away for whatever reason. So we're just going up a bit further and snipping above the first set of true leaves. And the same thing again on the other side. Some plants are taller than others, it doesn't matter. And don't be tempted if you happen to see flower buds. Don't feel that you should not snip because flower buds are forming. You need to snip if flower buds are forming. You want this plant to grow strong before it produces flowers. We don't want wimpy ones. So what's going to happen next? Well, I'll tell you what. This plant is going to re-sprout from the axils here, both here and here, and then I'll have two shoots that will extend up like that and produce, well, more flowers. It will look like this, and here we have a snapdragon that I treated in the same way, which is now planted in the ground, and you can see how the new shoots have come from here and from here. Right, so that's how it's done, and as you saw, I have a lot of cosmos to deal with, so let's go and do it. Okay, lots to do, got my snips, and I'd like to introduce you to Nick.
Hello, my name is Nick, I come from Slovenia, and I've been helping Rachel here for about a month now.
So you all ready to behead the cosmos?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, off with their heads.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
This one has a flower already.
Off with its head!
Okay. This one is interesting. It has one shoot here, and then two here. What should I do in this case?
Well, this is already beginning to branch, so that's great. I'd say just continue as you are going to and snip it where you are going to, which is just above the shoots. Try not to damage the shoots that are emerging.
What about this one? The new shoots are so low, and this one are higher. Where should I cut it?
Well, that's one where it grew a bit bendy, so when I was repotting, I buried some of the stem, and that's the great thing about cosmos. The stems will re-root, so you can bury them a bit deeper and they'll produce stronger plants by just producing more roots in the same way that tomatoes do. So in this instance, I'd go up a bit higher because we want the plant to branch a bit up from the soil, not really just at soil level. Perfect.
This one looks a bit weak. Should I leave it as it is or should I cut it?
I'd leave it because we want the plants to be as healthy as they can be before we brutalize them like this. I would leave that and hopefully it'll rally and become stronger and we can do it again in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all done, but the next thing I want to show you is how to propagate using the cuttings. And you may recall that I am growing a variety called Xenia, which is gorgeous. And I bought the seeds in Sweden and they didn't give me very many seeds in the packet. So I want to get as many plants as I can. So I am going to propagate these cosmos using the pinchings from the top. So let's go over to the table. Okay, so we're just going to continue here now. Nick's going to pinch out the Xenia and we're going to keep the cuttings and we're going to propagate them. So just fire ahead there, Nick. And this is a great way to get more plants. Many of you may have used it with snapdragons, and I can tell you that if you pinch out and propagate with the tops of your snapdragons, in my case certainly I've had 100% success rate. With cosmos, less so, but you have to remember that cosmos is a plant that produces roots from the stalk, so there's a good chance that they'll do well, and maybe we won't get 100%, but in the case of a rare cosmos that I want more of, it's certainly worth trying. So all you do is just pinch out as you normally would, as Nick's doing here, and I think,
is that okay?
I think go down a bit lower because I think
Okay.
they're the true leaves, yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And there. Now, this plant is obviously less sturdy than some of them. It's grown less than some of them. So it might be a thing to leave them a little bit longer, make sure that they're a little bit taller before you cut them for the purpose of propagation. But we are where we are, and what we need to do this is a seed tray. Give me that over there, please, Nick. Okay, so it's just a seed tray and I've put some compost in it, and now all I'm going to do is put a hole down the middle. So I'm just making some holes that the cuttings can go in more easily. So I will take the best of the cuttings, the biggest of the cuttings, and here is one that is fairly long, and now what I'm going to do is just cut off all of the side leaves, leaving the ones at the very top. And it's easier actually to just pinch out with your nail than to try and do it with the snips and end up damaging the stem. So in this case then we'll just lower that into the hole that I made there. And let's do that with the second one. Just pinch out here at the side, leaving the central leaves. And if you have a longer cutting, you could actually leave the top two leaves. And in this instance, you can see that there's a flower forming at the top. We're going to take that out because we don't want the cutting to try and produce a flower. We want it to produce roots. And in this instance, because there's no top growth. We've removed it because it was a flower. I'm going to leave these 2 leaves and put them in here, and the final one. And ideally, if your cuttings are a little bit longer, then I guess your chances of success might be a little bit better. But different cosmos have different presentations. Like, for example, Gazebo Red is a very sturdy plant and has done so well, whereas the other red one is much wimpier. Okay, so we've just one more thing to do. We do have a few cosmos that weren't potted on. Most of them have already been potted on. You can see they're already in this larger square pot, but some of them are still in the original seed trays, and there is no art to this at all. It's just regular potting on. So just remove it as soon as the roots have filled the cell below, and here we can see nice healthy roots. So this is ready for potting on, and Nick is going to put some compost at the base of the pot, breaking up obviously any lumps that we have. And this is just regular potting on. So you can put your plants on, your annual cosmos, at the same time as you pinch them out. It's obviously a good time. I've done it a bit earlier, but that's grand too. It's all down to the progress of the roots. And obviously take the opportunity to straighten the plant if it's growing a bit lopsided, or in the case if the stem has curled around, take the opportunity to bury a bit of the stem so that you have an upright portion which is going to go on and grow upright. And a little tip, if your cosmos don't flower, it's probably because you have them in too rich a soil. Cosmos does well in stony, unfertilized soil, which is why I grow lots of it in my garden. And there you go. That's how you pot up cosmos, the same way as you pot up any other annuals. And they can stay in this pot until such a time as you can plant them out in your garden. And in Ireland, that's the 1st of June. That's the last day that frost has been known to come. It will be different in your area. Just remember, you need to make sure that they're well hardened up before that date, which means just basically when they're indoors, you do this with them every now and again. And once they're out in the greenhouse, then you need to bring them out and in every day, like you've been doing for me.
Yes,
isn't that right? They spend the day on the lawn and then they go in at night.
Yes, that's right.
And that alters the cell structure in the plant and makes it harder and more able to withstand the weather when it does eventually go outdoors. So if you're on the fence about growing an annual, this is the one to try. For beginners, this is the one to try. It's so easy, and you can have really healthy looking plants by pinching out and doing the steps that we've explained to you in this video here. So it just remains for me to thank Nick for all his hard work.
Thank you for showing me how to do that.
Okay, we did a good beheading today. I hope we're not demonetized for such a word on YouTube. As Nick pointed out, he said, be careful. And I said, oh, we'll just be reckless, but I think we're going to be okay. And thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.